Thank you, everybody. Welcome to Xeeva Spotlight, where we feature the people who power Xeeva. Xeeva is the leader in indirect spend management solutions that optimize the entire procurement process. With Xeeva's data-driven spend management solutions, you can simplify, consolidate, manage, control, and conduct all spend-related activities in one place. Our end-to-end integrated cloud-based platform drives cost savings, visibility, and efficiency gains throughout the procurement process. For more information, visit xeeva.com. Today, we're going to speak with Nina Vellayan, President and CEO of Xeeva. With over 25 years experience, Nina has a successful background with private and public companies, large and small companies, enterprise SaaS, and building high-performance management teams. Nina has a unique entrepreneurial leadership style that has repeatedly shown measurable results due to her effective planning, organizational, and communication skills, as well as her solution-oriented approach to problem solving. Prior to joining the Xeeva team, Nina was an investor and acting CEO of Stewardship Technology, Inc. She's also held multiple senior-level executive and investor positions within financial payments and software technology organizations, including CEO of FrontStream Payments, Inc., COO of Official Payments, Inc., and a divisional president at Sallie Mae. So welcome, Nina. Thanks so much for being on the show.
Thanks, Dave. I appreciate it.
Sweet. Well, let's just get started by telling us about your corporate journey and how it brought you here to Xeeva.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm excited to be here and talk about it. But thank you for my bio, which is long, drawn out. But if you follow that bio, I really started my journey at Sallie Mae, 14 years, corporate finance, learned all about payments and transactions and systems, working with universities. And my second part of my career with Sallie Mae, I actually built out a technology that automated tuition payments online for major universities all over the United States, 1,500 of them. It was 8 products, really learned about products, sales, technology. And we were processing over 15 billion in transactions annually. So if you think of all the major universities, and that division that I led was me starting it 300 people later, actually sold twice. It's sitting here from a technology perspective with Blackbaud. After that, I wanted to move over to be COO of Official Payments, which got me into a publicly traded Section 16, very late in my 30s. So it was really exciting to move there. But more about technology and payments and how they intersect and transactions in the government and education space, really passionate about that. And then that really got me over to working for private equity and building out a payment technology platform for charitable giving, which is one of my passions, kind of helping global organizations all over the world. On that platform, we had over 20,000 nonprofit organizations processing through it. Like I said, it was a global platform. Really enjoyed building that and really helping people in need. From there, I decided from my corporate journey perspective, I wanted to do something on my own since I've done it, working for publicly based companies, privately based companies. I met a founder, really passionate about founders as well, partnered with the founder. We built up Stewardship Technology, again, in the venue of charitable giving. It was helping churches and churches all over the world as well to be able to take in transactions and payments, which was very helpful during the pandemic. So many, because you couldn't go to church when people still wanted to give to their church, they used our platform. So from there, really got into meeting the team and the investment team that invested in Xeeva. And what I loved about Xeeva, it was a little bit different than where I came from. But what I really loved about it is the AI technology and the ML. And the fact that during the pandemic, we could take a big data sets and we could help all of these companies find savings and make impactful business decisions. That is really important if you think about what's going on right now with supply chain disruptions and what's going on with suppliers. So helping them to achieve their goals, especially when you saw a good amount of EBITDA drop, revenue drop, plants closing, people losing their jobs. It was just a good time for me to come in. Really excited about Xeeva.
Wow. Yeah. What a journey. That's awesome. That's really cool. You did a lot of the charitable work and stuff too, that kind of led you here, and all software based, but everybody needs to be able to accept payments. So that's very cool. So now you've been here for a while at Xeeva, you've been CEO for a while. So in your opinion, what makes Xeeva a great company to work for?
You know, Dave, the thing that really inspires me about Xeeva are the people and the culture. I mean, the people are just so passionate. I actually started, which is crazy, I started as CEO in the middle of the pandemic. So who knew? I accepted the position in February of 2020. I got on a plane to visit our team in India, and that's when the pandemic really kind of hit. Trump administration said, come back to the US. I stayed about a week, and from that point forward, starting in March of 2020, we've been remote. So we haven't seen each other. But what I really loved about Xeeva is the people and the passion, talking to people. They really truly believe they're making a difference. They truly believe that they're helping all of these larger organizations to achieve their goals. There's so much of a need for visibility into data, into spend. Think about these global organizations that have all of these disparate ERPs. Think about the fact that if you're a CEO and you're sitting in North America, but you've got sites all over the world and you have no idea, especially during the pandemic, what people are buying, who they're buying it from, if suppliers are charging you more, with that lack of visibility, it's not helpful for a CEO or an executive to make decisions. But what I loved about us is we were using technology to do it, using AI to come up with suggestions, to come up with the difference from a price perspective, to come up with working capital, to come up with, here's all the suppliers that you're using globally to buy one item. And if you can consolidate them, it's helpful. What I really love, Dave, is there's a lot of big companies in this space. If you look at all these heat maps, there's 1,000 of them, right? And there's a lot of them that have been around 20 or 30 years doing the same old thing. What I loved is Xeeva was one of the first companies to use AI and technology to actually disrupt it, to make a difference, to do it quicker, better, and at the right price point. And not just for the larger base companies, mid-sized companies, kind of sub 500 million in revenue, they need the technology as well. We wanted not just to provide the technology, but we wanted to provide the people that were the experts to actually help the companies that we support to fulfill their mission and to hit their goals.
Yeah. That and you kind of like pulled right into the next question, because I think you talked about what differentiates Xeeva from its competitors is that our AI and ML, not just our people, but what differentiates Xeeva from its competitors.
So it's really interesting because when you look out, everyone says AI ML. It's kind of become the tag word in the market, right? Everybody says AI. I really think it's our intelligent spend management platform. And it's not just using it from a tagline perspective. When we can take in these data sets and we can come up with suggestions and we can put together from a category by category perspective, a plan for you within the same day. And we can show you based upon suggestions, which categories have the biggest opportunity for savings. And then we can help you execute on it. We can put the project out there using technology. But it's not just that. Think about everything that's going on with supply chain disruption. We can also provide you with suppliers in that category that we vetted that meet a criteria that would be your criteria to include. So you can always constantly test your suppliers, test the market, be sure that they're vetted suppliers, and then decide what you want to do with that data. And we can do it quicker than most people in the market. We're the only company also, when we realize that your data is not as good, we tell you when we're looking at your data, what percentage you can put in a catalog, what percentage you can source. But we don't stop there because we know data is bad. We know that there's not compliance and policies built in to these ERPs. We're one of the only companies that has data services that can actually help you improve it on an ongoing basis. And we don't do this once, Dave, because of our guided execution. It's a continuous cycle that we provide the market. And I keep going back to price and price point, because what I've seen is a lot of the organizations need our services. They need this type of service in the market, but it could be a year from now that they get up and running. Our goal is to get it up and running in 5 to 6 weeks. Just do it really quickly, show you impact, show you value so that you can actually show your management team the impact that you're making within the organization.
Wow, yes, that's a really quick time to value compared to what other time to value that I've heard from other competitors. So those are great differentiators. You also mentioned that you started right during the pandemic, and then everything became remote. So how do you keep your team motivated and facilitate cross-team functionality in this new normal of remote work? Because everybody's remote now. A lot more people are remote now.
They are. I mean, we really try from a cultural perspective. I can tell you the management team at Xeeva does a great job working with their teams to do it generally. But as an organization, we do a global town hall every 2 weeks. We try to bring people together. Now that the world is opening up a bit, we do smaller group events. We had our first in-person sales kickoff. You know, we do a lot of webinars, and we really try to engage our employees as much as we can, try to do fun things, trying to bring them in. But the management team, like I said, from a cultural perspective, because we're global, they've done a great job just bringing people in, listening to them. The management team just does a wonderful job, and our HR does a great job with that as well.
Awesome. So what are some of the things outside of work that have motivated you to achieve the amount of success that you've experienced over your career? Or what are some of the things you've learned in your career that have translated into, you know, your life and that can kind of be more like life metaphors?
So, I mean, it's funny being Indian, but being born in the US. So I was born in Wichita, Kansas. So more associated here than in India since I never grew up there. But I was the first of many things. First, one of the first female officers at Sallie Mae, being female, one of the first P&L. From a COO perspective, there weren't that many back, because when you think about CEOs in general and women of color from a board of directors perspective, we just had Women's International Day. I mean, it's still less than 5%. You're seeing more with Fortune, 500s, where it's closer to 10 to 15% now, but you see a lot of women that are entrepreneurs. They all inspired me early on in my career. I wanted to do more, but I really loved working with people. And it's really interesting. I loved motivating people, my team. I'm an extrovert for the most part, so I like to engage. But as I've gotten older within my career, Dave, I really want to help the next generation. I want to explain to women what they can do, because I'm also a working mother as well. So what you can do within your career and how you can succeed. But to me, it's all about the team that you bring in, the engagement, the people, keeping people motivated. I always tell people it's not always going to be a parade every day. We're not always going to be happy every day. But at the end of the day, if you're truly passionate about the customers and the employees, because to me, the employees come first, you're going to see success in your career. And I've had success, I've had failures, but I don't regret any of the path that I've taken. And if it motivates others behind me, then I feel like I've made an impact.
That's amazing. Do you have any tips that you can give procurement professionals to help them succeed? Like if people want to get into this business?
If they want to get into this business, it's a great business to be in. When you think about what you can do for organizations and the impact, especially with sustainability becoming very large, and also looking at suppliers and vetting them to hit, these goals that the organizations have set up. Really, honestly, this is what I tell people, especially younger people, when you come in, learn everything, be on every project, be engaging, step up, give your opinion, try to be helpful, just don't stay in your box. And if you can do that, you can make an impact. Just don't sit back, try to join, try to be part of the solution. And, the younger folks also are looking at newer technology. So kind of focus in on what you can do to automate things so that you can do more with less, because all of these organizations are doing more with less.
That's great. And that would be great for new recruits. Now, do you have any tips you can give to professionals right now that are already in the procurement space about moving forward during, the time that we're in?
And I think, Dave, it's interesting, starting during the pandemic, you could kind of see where people lost their jobs, plants shut down, people stopped buying, CEOs stopped buying. And now that the market's opening up, kind of the first time as CEO, we're finally going to get in front of customers and partners. And I think people are starting to look for this technology. And I would say, don't just focus in on the same old processes. Look at new ways from a digital transformation perspective that you can improve the organization. It's not just about savings. It's really about making these impactful decisions. And you can't make a good decision without data and visibility into that data. So start with the data, start with the visibility, and then put a plan together. But it's not just about the technology. You have to find a partner that's going to help you succeed. So it's not, let me turn over the keys and I'm not going to teach you how to drive the car. Find a partner that's going to give you the car, but also teach you how to use it and how to execute and how to be successful. And I think that's the difference that we're bringing in to the market as it opens up for these professionals within Xeeva.
Yeah, it's very relationship based. I mean, absolutely. What are a few of the biggest challenges facing procurement departments today, and what does Xeeva do to address those challenges?
So I think the biggest challenge, as we've said, with the pandemic is really supply chain disruption. Inflation is a huge factor. Prices are going up. You can't pass that margin onto your customers. So it's what everyone's facing, which affects your bottom line. So, I mean, you're going to have to look at every aspect. Most companies do not focus in on indirect. They're always focused in on direct because that's what affects their revenue. You know, my suggestion is you got to focus in on both ends, because at least on the lower end, you may have a margin opportunity with looking at other suppliers that you may not have considered that may charge you a lesser amount, especially if you buy in bulk, right? Look at all the factors, assess them, vet them. There's so much fraud going on right now as well on the indirect side, maybe not as the direct, but you see that on the indirect side with most of the companies we work with today, there's 3,000 to 5,000 suppliers. There is no way a small procurement organization can manage 3,000 to 5,000 suppliers over hundreds of categories. You've got to look at it. What can you consolidate, set a target, put an annual plan together. Working with a company like Xeeva, we can help you do that. But my suggestion is look at it, because as we're coming out of the pandemic, there was a lot of spot buys. There were a lot of tail spends. People were just buying whatever because they couldn't find an effective supplier. This is the time to take control over it. The only way you're going to be able to take control over it through a global organization is through technology. And it all starts with the data.
Absolutely. Awesome. Thank you. Kind of more on the leadership side, what do you, two parts, what do you think makes you a great leader? And what are some leadership qualities that will help young professionals succeed?
So it's a good question. I think from a leadership perspective, you know, my philosophy is listen. So I try to listen as much as I can and learn, and then I provide my suggestions, but I always ask for help. I always know that it's not one person. The CEO can't make a difference. It really is the management team. I always joke that I've got 8 direct reports. The rest of the company reports to the 8 direct reports. And really, they're the ones who are making more of the impactful decisions within the organization. My job is to guide and lead, provide any kind of support I can from a customer standpoint and from an employee standpoint, but from a leadership, bring in the right people. And I'll honestly be honest, we have a culture within Xeeva where it's almost like a flat organization. Everyone can speak up. You're not going to get slapped for speaking your mind. You're actually going to get dinged if you don't. We want to hear more. We want to know what's going on. And from my perspective, you can't just hide problems. You've just got to face the challenges. You've got to come up with a plan and you've got to execute. And it's never going to be perfect, but if you don't execute and you don't know what's going on, you'll never be able to solve it.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. One more question. You were voted as top 50 women leaders in SaaS. What advice would you give to young women who aspire to be leaders in SaaS?
You know, it's interesting when you think about women in STEM. I think women should get into technology. The more you know about technology, the more impactful you can be within an organization. I always tell women too, from a path and trajectory perspective, know technology, understand how you make revenue, get into a role that impacts P&L, and your upside potential of where you want to go with your career is unlimited. If you've got those three, so I would say to men too, including my son and daughter, since I have one of both, but just understand how the organization runs and get into it. But yeah, I was very honored to receive that.
Yeah, that's amazing. Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Take care.